John, I think I'm going to start with you first. Now, this is a feel-good event, and it's all about helping the local community in all aspects of their life and what we do. Mm-hmm. So tell me, what makes you feel good?
What makes me feel good?
Yes.
Living in this community. Actually, it's exactly as you said. It's a really vibrant community. Unlike other parts of London, there's a real sense of community here. It's multicultural.
Very. Yes.
I think it's an incredibly good environment as well. We're surrounded by parks and various facilities as well, and it's just really vibrant in every aspect of it as well. It's a bit of a hidden jewel in London. I don't think many people have discovered us yet, but actually, it's a really good place to live and work.
That's a very good thing that you said about hidden jewel, because I was thinking of a hidden gem, and it's only because I'm working in Hillingdon that I've got to know and understand more. But in terms of you as a local MP, you've been a local MP for 25 years. In the Hillingdon area.
Don't say it like that.
So
you're saying it in a celebratory way, aren't you?
Very celebratory. So the constituency must feel a great deal about you and what you do. Can you explain how has the community grown and changed over these last 25 years?
I've been the MP for 25 years. I've lived here now. Actually, next year it'll be 50 years.
Wow.
So like most people, I've moved here to find work, things like that. It's interesting. When I first came here, it was a sort of very traditional, working class community with lots of heavy industry, metal bashing going on. We've had the airport as well. The airport was relatively small then. Since then, 50 years on, hugely multicultural community. And absolutely vibrant as a result of that. You know, a whole range of different cultures, cuisines, etc. And it rubs along pretty well together as well. And so it made it an exciting place. That's the first thing. Second thing, the heavy metal industries have largely gone, but they've been replaced by new tech largely. So what we have now is a fairly intensive development of service sector industries, new tech industries.
Wow.
And because we're close to London, we've got Crossrail going through. So
absolutely,
when Crossrail's finished, it'll be 20 minutes to get into central London. We've now got quite a number of people who are living in Hayes but commuting into central London as well. So it's become really exciting. The airport is obviously going to be one of our main sectors as well. It's expanded greatly, but again, we've got a balanced economy, new tech, airport, service. And people are coming here because they can see their careers being developed in this area. We've always had housing problems because of the demand for housing, but we've got now whole areas where new properties are going up. A lot of the environmental problems we thought would come from that, we've managed to overcome because we've had a community campaign we campaigned to surround Hayes with, well, basically with open spaces and woodlands, and we've achieved it. We've got country parks surrounding the whole of the area, and there's a history to the area as well in terms of the developing cultures that we have. I think it's a really exciting place to live.
Well, you've surely given us a wealth of knowledge, and that's what 25 years, and you said nearly 50 years of living in the location, so that's fantastic. Now, CTEC Plus are relatively new to the Hillingdon area, and we support people on their journey into work. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you think the community faces in terms of employability opportunities, and then how do you see the future looking, going forward?
Okay. The reality is that the sort of work that we're now attracting requires high skills, and alongside that high skills, there are high wages. Yes. So the key issue is making sure people have all the training and support that they need. Recognising, 50 years ago when I came here, you would go into employment, and you'd most probably be in that employment for maybe 20, 30 years, and then you'd retire. No longer the case. They're no longer the case. People will move from one career to another, so it's always making sure that they've got those flexible skills to enable that to happen, and also making sure they've just got that all-round support. You talk about holistic support, and it is about that. It's about giving people confidence that they can fulfill their ambitions. The good thing about it, though, is that the population in this area now is growing again, but it's growing in a way where we're attracting people who actually have ambitions to exercise all their talents, fulfill the opportunities that are available to them. That's why the bedrock that we've had of we opened up Uxbridge College at Hayes Town Centre.
Yes.
That bedrock of support for how people can get those skills is there. But a lot of it is what you're doing, which is about connecting people with those organisations that will give them the assistance that they need to either go into a career or move on from their career. But it is all about skills, learning, creativity, and I think we've got that in abundance in the area.
Oh.
So when I lost my job, I was depressed, and I was searching something which I have to be at my work. And because of that time I was not well, I was feeling very bad. And it was time when I have to decide that where I have to go before coming CTEC. So at that time I was going so many websites and so many people to give me advice, and how should I restart my life in UK as an employee. So after that I found Bunty as advisor, and then I discovered so many things, including my real skill in my branch where I have worked many years. So when my advisor Bunty, he advised me that I have to give all information, and I shared myself and my previous experiences and the courses which I have completed in last 10 years. So then I found that CTEC and Bunty as advisor, he showed me my goal, where I have to go. So it was lovely. Before I was thinking that there's no place for me to work in UK, in London.
Like you say, I think opening yourself really does open the opportunities, doesn't it, as well? So what support is CTEC Plus giving you at the moment to help you towards work?
Nowadays, after coming here in CTEC, it is, I have to say, a new experience for me before 2 months. But when I started many courses and I involved in activities which were given by my advisor, so I found that these all kind of activities I was doing in my professional job. But I think according to UK job market, there was need that I have to develop myself. So I started many courses, and which was skill-based courses, and some courses which advised by my advisor, which was related to my professional background, and some courses was about communication, safeguarding, and which is helpful for me. And after having these kind of courses, I got confidence. And I realized that I discovered so many things which was in my personality, but I was not aware about that all kind of activities and skills. And one more thing which I got here after coming in CTEC, that UK's UK job market, and second thing was how to live with the British values. It was very important for me because I was new here. So I realized that to integrate in in UK, in society, to work with other communities, I have to have and I have to learn so many things. And I learned, and I'm learning, still learning. And one more thing which I have to add, that I'm going to for ESOL in Uxbridge College Hayes, and here in CTEC regularly I'm getting advice and so many offers, so many new courses, which is showing me my path, and I'm nearby my goal. And the thing which I got, that having my identity, it is, and it is very important to share with you, that there is nothing to change in myself to aid many things. And this is a great realization which I found after having courses and after having the CTEC's program and sessions.
And you offer a range of swaps. So it's an acronym, and what does it stand for?
So basically, the swaps, I'll just put it in simple terms, it's basically working with the job centres, the local job centres, and it's designing a programme basically with our employers. For us, it's to guarantee an interview at the end of the day.
Okay.
So it's not just with candidates coming onto our courses. At the end of the day, they have to have something to look forward to and work towards. So they've got to have a goal. So that's basically what we use the swaps for.
Right. And the acronym, it's the Sector Work-Based Academies Programme.
It
Did I
is.
get that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And why do you think swaps are a great way to kickstart someone into a career?
Well, basically, the swaps that we do have, we have guaranteed job interviews at the end of the day. But it's not just designed in one sector. So we'll have the retail, hospitality, engineering, warehousing. So we've got all the range of sectors for candidates to actually get back into work.
So it's quite broad then?
It is, yes.
Okay. So what kind of benefits do you think learners can offer an employer?
So once they come onto the course with us, it could either be a 7-day course or a 14-day course, depending on the businesses that we work with. At the moment, I'm running the Menzies courses at the moment, and they require the employability and the customer service side. So it is a 14-day course. With that, the benefits that the candidates get, they do their CVs, interview skills, they go through the interview skills, but it's not only that, it's tailor-made to that employer. So at the end of the day, when they go for their interview, they are pre-prepared, and they've read through the job descriptions properly, and they can understand the role a bit better. We do have the employers coming in, and they will do a talk with our learners that are on the course as well. So they pre-see those learners if they've got any questions to ask and things like that. So yes, it is a benefit because they're working towards what the company wants.
Lovely. Because the question I was going to ask you, and you started to go into it, which is quite good. Why should an employer consider taking someone from a swap programme?
Well, there you go, because it's tailor-made for them. So it's tailor-made for any employer, whether it's filling out the applications. I deal with a lot of Heathrow at the moment, so it's going through that 5-year checkable history as well. So the learners are prepared. They've got all the information and ready for that company.
Right. And just wondering, does the employer play a part in developing the courses that you run as well?
They don't play a part in developing the courses as such, because it's accredited courses that we offer. But what they do is they will supply their application forms, and then, like I said, they will come in and do a talk as well. So it will give the candidates a bit more information about what they're getting themselves into. If they've got any questions they want to ask the employer before their interview, they have that opportunity.
Lovely. Can you just tell me a little bit more about that interview? Because you said after the training there's the hope of an interview.
It is. So it is a guaranteed interview with all our candidates. Doesn't guarantee the job.
Okay.
But it guarantees them an interview. So they do bypass all the, I would say, like a job fair. If they have to go through that process, they bypass all that, filling in that application. And a lot of candidates will struggle to fill in those applications. And that's where we come.
What are the sectors that are most needed in terms of skilled workers at present?
Yeah, of course. I'll go through a bit of a journey of, how we kind of develop our employer relationships. So at Strive, we've always worked on the premise of get the skills, get the job. And that really comes into play when we're talking to our employers and understanding, their needs and their requirements. We will look at our learner database, and our learners as well, they are a factor. They are all from different experiences, different backgrounds, so our employers are going to have to be from them as well. And we go out, we network, we do our market research, we get involved with lots of different employers by doing needs analysis and collaborate with as many people as we can to provide as many opportunities for our learners. Currently at the moment we've been finding actually that there's quite a range of sectors, so it's more than just one that are actually really popular.
Okay.
Hospitality
Yes,
is a
of
major
course,
one,
yes.
major need in the industry. Health and social care. You've got your warehouse positions as well, they're crying out for them. And we've also noticed our customer service roles, so if you're working within a call centre, that's also coming into play, and obviously the seasonal vacancies, they are coming up now massively, especially for Christmas. So yeah, we're working hard and hopefully getting lots more opportunities to give to
Okay,
everyone
that's
that comes to
great.
us.
That's really good. So some people may not fully be aware of what the journey back into work is and what that's all about.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about some of the things that you work on with the learners to get them ready for that journey?
Yeah, of course. So the way I like to look at the journey back into work is life is not a sprint and it's not a marathon, it's a hurdle race. And that is what it's like.
Good analogy.
It is, and that's what it's like for our learners that come onto our courses, and they're getting over these hurdles, and that's what Strive is here to do. We're here to help them get over those hurdles, and we do that with our engagement with our learners through their course, after their course. Our employment support team is there. We provide them with either one-to-one support, webinars, that's tailored to them, interview practice, even if we're just there to be a shoulder to talk to, or let's say cry on, but talk to, and help motivate them and build that confidence. And it gets really reflected throughout the journeys that we have in our learners. And I'll never forget, we've actually had a lady not too long ago from Uxbridge herself, and she came to us. She was 6 months unemployed, and she'd actually been in recruitment herself, so she'd been in the market, but had lost all of her confidence before coming onto this course, and we provided all of that support that helped her boost her confidence. And then she came to us and said, I've got the job, I'm an employment advisor.
Wonderful.
And that transformation has been amazing, and you know what, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is sharing our passion to really change people's lives and get them back to doing what they love and back into work. So
Excellent. I think that's a wonderful thing that you've just said there. Just getting the passion, getting the confidence back up where it needs to be.
Yeah,
so that's really well done there.
Pathways has got a really, really robust job brokers team. The team purely focuses on looking at gaps in the market. So, as my two colleagues have mentioned, we focus on making sure that the learners that we're getting through the door, the gaps in the market in terms of the opportunities that are available, whether it be retail, whether it be hospitality, is where we kind of focus on making sure that we deliver on that. We focus on making sure that we partner with our employers to run the Sector Work Academy program that we've designed.
Okay, yeah.
This is where the employees come on board with us and help us design the requirements that they need. So, for instance, if the employer is requiring health and safety or first aid, we incorporate that in our vocational qualification. But the main thing is to make sure that the learners that we get through the doors have got a routeway in terms of opportunity to go into. I'll talk a little bit about the Youth Hub.
That was my next question.
Next question?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Go ahead.
So
Go for
with
it.
the Youth Hub, we are the nominated provider within Hillingdon, so where we support 18 to 24-year-olds. Anyone that's coming from DWP or local authority, it comes through our Youth Hub. So we've got two part-time work coaches, two full-time work coaches that are with us 3 days a week in our centre. So they're referred, customers come into the site and they're referred into our advisors, where advisors kind of identify the requirements that they need.
Okay.
And then from there, what we do is we kind of support them with their CVs, we'll refer them onto our courses that we deliver. And our courses are more employability related, so they look at interviews, CVs, and various other units that support them to kind of prepare them into work. And then our job brokers team will go into the session at the end of the session, just to kind of introduce the opportunities that we've got. And in most chances, we get quite a lot of people interviewed there and then. and then we match them into opportunities that are there with the employer network. But the employer engagement team purely is focused on making sure that there's opportunity for both adults and the young people. But then within the Youth Hub, we have Kickstarters who have come back from their 6 months experience from the Kickstart. Those ones are more or less pretty much job ready. So what they need is just kind of like a refresher where we kind of give them, the boost that they need. But then with the opportunities that we've got on the ground, it's a quick win for them. And we're, very passionate about making sure that we're delivering a service that's robust for, everybody. And we work very closely with DWP, local authority, to make sure that we are delivering a service that is meaningful.
Lovely.
Could you tell us about some of the barriers you've faced in terms of diversity when it comes to employers?
Well, from the top of my head, it's about 3. So as I work, even though I've got that wealth of experience, I mostly worked within my own community, only because I saw gaps. I wrote a book on psychological trauma and my religious community. I developed a course to do with my religious community and developing mindset, only because there was no one there to facilitate it. But I feel that on my CV didn't look very good. So I think that was a hindrance, being a mum as well, part-time. And, even though I found part-time work is the commute, and I've got dyslexia. I remember once in an interview I disclosed my dyslexia, and they kind of asked me, but can you read? And I was like, I've just explained my wealth of knowledge. I've written a book, and there are spectrums, but it wasn't maybe the way set to ask that question. So, so those are the main barriers I think I face.
I think, like you say as well, a lot of employers, they hear that one word of any sort of, anything you're dealing with, and that's the barriers up there, and then, isn't it? And it really is about breaking those down and showing that you're more than just what's on this piece of paper. Here I am in front of you as a person, and I've got these skills, and I can put them to good use. So now tell us about your role with Pathways, because this is very exciting. Tell us about this.
Yes, so after doing the course, I was actually offered 2 weeks work experience, and I was like, oh my God, thank God, I was knocking on everyone's door to give me that experience, and then here it is coming to me. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do the and then soon after I got the job. I'm a compliance officer and a project officer, so I help people now with enrollment, so people in my position. So it's good because I can empathize with the people, and I also have done the course, so I understand. I've got in knowledge. I also dabble a bit in marketing and other ventures.
Like you say, I think you've got this experience yourself. You can share this knowledge that you've gained, obviously, after years of searching and whatnot, and apply it to those people you're now working with. This is the thing, and I think it's only something that you can get with experience as well. That's not a course you can learn. Going through the process really is something you've done, and you can apply it to your participants. So how do you feel now that you're not only back in work, but working with an organisation that's obviously so instrumental in helping you?
I think the first word that comes to mind is empowerment. I really feel empowered. This was a gap in my life that I really needed to fill. And now I have the opportunity to excel my talents and my skills. And the good thing about Pathways is that they've given me autonomy, and autonomy sparks creativity, and creativity sparks motivation, and then hence productivity for an organisation. So I'm so thankful in a sense that I'm given that autonomy, because I guess feel empowered now that I have that.
And that's something, again, that you can pass on, and only those people you're working with has also developed these skills themselves, and they'll go from there.
And but can you tell us more about dynamic training and your accessible apprenticeships?
Yes, so Dynamic Training are a core healthcare provider of apprenticeships. And we work up and down the country, probably with upwards of 70 NHS trusts at the minute. But as part of what we do, we also offer care, and we offer business and different things in apprenticeships. But as part of what we do, we're passionate about making sure that apprenticeships are accessible to everyone. So we call it an accessible apprenticeship. Right. So that apprenticeship is for anyone with maybe special educational needs or disabilities, and there's extra flexibilities within it. So for example, things like someone may need to work part-time hours, or they may not be able to achieve the higher levels of functional skills in English and maths that they might need to do. So there is some flexibility around that. And there's also things like disability awareness training for employers in the workplace. So we're quite passionate about talking to employers and talking also to other providers and saying to them, everyone should be making apprenticeships accessible, no matter what the qualification. People can do, all of us can't do every part of our job, so apprenticeships should be open and accessible no matter what the qualification. So we try to get people interested in things like facilities or customer service or construction. We may not deliver it, but we would like other providers to be aware that they can provide that as well, that facility to people.
Well, that's
Say, and there were 3 employers representing about their experiences of employing individuals that are neurodivergent. And just listening to them and the impact it's made on their companies is amazing. So we know that individuals, there's less sickness. We know that the individuals, it's an untapped talent pool, and individuals want to work and they want to be part of society, you know, the bigger picture. And these individuals are motivated and keen, but also they bring innovation, because when you're neurodivergent, you think differently.
Of course.
So that innovation is really quite perceiving things in a different way, adds value. Absolutely. So it's really those positive benefits, but then also for colleagues in the workplace as well. The fact that they're starting to think a lot more inclusively themselves because they've got colleagues that are neurodivergent. It opens up the doors to just generally supporting each other and changing your practice to be more inclusive.
right. And how is that champion, inclusion, the whole concept of inclusion and diversity?
Hi, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. And sorry, I'm not there in person, but good to be part of it. And I hope you've had a good morning so far.
Thank you so much. Yes.
I'm D&I manager, as you mentioned, for Compass UK and Ireland. So we're a large food service company, over sort of 40,000 employees in the UK and Ireland, and the majority of those are frontline. So we're kind of across 6,000 sites. So we have a large pool of people to kind of reach, and the benefit of that, of having a really kind of diverse workforce, really. I think it's fantastic to be able to work with such a range of people, and it really represents not just our customers and the clients we serve, but also some of the communities we work in. So that's a really key part of what our goal is, of being really open to having flexibility within the business and making sure inclusion is top of the game, really. So I was going to say that the kind of the benefit of Compass as a group, and one of our strengths, I think, in the D&I space and the inclusion, is that we're very much a business where you can come in with no qualifications, no training, and we can really offer that support and development to really help people grow their career at Compass. So we hope that's always a benefit from both sides. But I guess from an inclusion perspective, we very much focus our strategy around 3 pillars, which is all around listening and educating. It's taking a stand, doing the right thing, but also attracting and developing and obviously retaining people when they come into the business. And I think all that really kind of underlays or overlays the inclusive piece about really making sure we are an inclusive employer. And to do that, we really rely on our networks, so our employee networks. So part of my job is fantastic, because I get to work with some really passionate people around the business that are part of 4 of our networks. So we've got across gender, race, LGBTQ+, and mental health. We're also progressing in areas of social mobility, and also looking at disability as a really clear focus. And I know that's just come up in some of the conversation you've just had. But our networks are really run by our colleagues for our colleagues, and it's a way of being able to create a really welcoming, inclusive environment. I think by having the ambassadors, it works for us. We understand what do people want from working with us, how can we adapt things, whether that, again, that's about adjustments, or whether that's about working environments and patterns. It creates that kind of dialogue, really, and conversation that we can have.
Lovely. Thank you so much for that, Mel. Earlier on, when we were speaking to John MacDonald, he talked about living in Hillingdon for the last 50 years plus. And he also talked about the changing demographics, the diversity, the rich culture that has grown within the Hillingdon area. So the question that I would ask you, how do you go about targeting the different diverse groups for the different roles within the community, and not just at the lower level but at all levels?
Yeah, no, definitely. And we like to think ourselves as a very highly inclusive employer because of the kind of stretch that we have, and we have a really good mix of ethnicities. If I'm honest, the mix is more is higher at the lower levels, so we do still have some work to do at the higher levels. But the way we kind of go about it is really around creating kind of diverse job boards. So when we go out and create contact our customers, we kind of work with agencies that across all areas, kind of whether it's to do with ethnicity or whether it's to do with disability. So we make sure we kind of share those across all those boards, and really connect with the local community. So whether that's through schools or career fairs, social mobility programmes, areas like that. And I think if you think about Hillingdon, I know Heathrow is pretty close, and we have a site there, for example. And again, a lot of people have worked in Heathrow for many years, and we have that in a number of our hospitals as well. And actually, it's about attracting, the family and friends, the kind of recommendations that we also think that word of mouth piece is key as well. But it's also about looking at things like apprenticeships and the career pathways that we do, and really kind of linking into what will help support and develop those people in those areas. Mixed with that is also working with charities, and we work with areas sort of like Clink, which is about ex-offenders, or Radical Recruits, which is a charity that looks at getting homeless people back into work. So it's again working with those partnerships and seeing how we can align and meet those community needs.
And just to say, if you can tell us a little bit more about Bellina Consulting and what they do.
So we run the GROW programme, and the GROW programme works with mums who are just maybe a little bit further away from work. So maybe you have an autistic child, maybe you are somebody who doesn't have English as a first language, maybe you've never worked, maybe you're a lone parent. Anybody who's just that little bit further away from work and needs a little bit more time, a little bit more support, gain their confidence, we're there to help them in Hillingdon get back to work.
Right. And when you say lone parent, a lot of us tend to think about females, but you also cater to fathers as well. So
we do actually. There are fathers who've been on our programme and really enjoyed it. What we're really looking to support is people who are the main carer for the children. So that's where we work.
Now, you've mentioned you've been with Bellina Consulting when we were discussing just a little while for 15 years now. So what can you share with us as the needs of the community? Because it's been a changing community as well, hasn't it?
I think what's been really fascinating in the last sort of 3 years going through COVID is seeing how both the people who want to go back to work and employers are changing. And we can see that people are more open to doing different things, and we can see that employers are more open to flexibility. Just speaking to Metroline here today.
Okay,
and
yes.
We're talking about offering flexible contracts. That's fantastic. So I think that there has been that kind of step change of people looking to do different things and flexibility being more available. It's lovely.
It is, because I would imagine, especially for lone parents, some of the barriers may include the flexibility or inflexibility of time, not being able to work full time, only a few hours every single day. How do you address that in terms of the job market and finding the job opportunities for the lone parents?
So let me give you one, I think, really good example. A lot of our mums, they don't just want to work part-time, they want to work term time. So we run a project called Preparing to Work in Schools, and it helps those mums I've been bringing up my children, but also there might well be other things that I need to do in order to get myself a job. So we help them build that experience, and it's a lovely project, and it's something that I think we just need to acknowledge that some people need to work.
Lovely. So talking about those lone parents and talking about term times, in terms of employers, are you able to bring them on board in terms of them understanding this particular segment? Because it's quite a unique segment of the working market. How does the employers relate to that?
Well, we've got a lovely programme called Flex that Chanel actually works on, which is about encouraging employers to be more open to flexible working, thinking about, are there core hours? Are there other times that people can work? Can people work from home? How do you manage the outcomes, not just is somebody present in a place? So it's reaching out to employers. I think it's part of all our work, isn't it? Because it can't just be a one-sided conversation. We need to have them involved as well.
Well, you mentioned beautiful Chanel. You were here really early this morning, so that says a lot. And the beauty about Chanel, she actually was a previous participant with Bellina Consulting,
yes,
and now she's working for you.
Yeah.
Talk to me and tell me what that was like.
Well, I joined the programme in 2020. Before that, I was a stay-at-home mum. I have two beautiful children, aged 5 and 3. Being part of Bellina, they gave me the support and the push I needed. And now working for them, it's allowed me to see things from a different point of view, and it also helps me understand how people may feel when they're joining the programme, because we work with so many women from different backgrounds.
Lovely. And you talk about the support from Bellina. What did that look like? What sort of support did you get?
The support at Bellina is endless. I was allocated an advisor, and what she did for me was make sure that my CV was up to date, and it made me attend the sessions that were running. I remember the first session I attended, we were applying for jobs, and the next day I got an interview date. So it was all very quick.
Super, that was very quick.
Yes, and then I called my advisor telling her I got an interview date, and I was sort of panicking, and she was like, just calm down, breathe, you're going to do great. And then I got the job. So
you actually got the job. Well done and congratulations.
Thank you.
Now just tell us, how have you ended up as being part of that team? Because you've actually come full circle. So if you can just elaborate and just share with us, because there's going to be a lot of participants who, like yourself, from similar background with children, confidence that you talk about. If you just like to elaborate a little bit there.
So when my work contract was coming to an end, I wanted to find a job that was flexible because, as I mentioned, I am a mum and my kids are very young. And then I saw an opportunity to work for the Grow team, and sorry, I'm a bit nervous. I saw an opportunity to work for the Grow team, and it gave me the confidence. I had the experience.
I'm going to zero in here because something's very emotional. Something beautiful and very profound has happened to you with Bellina and the Grow team. And so every time you try to talk about it, I can feel the emotion come through. So what was that like? And how did you embrace working with the Grow team?
So yes, this is something I am passionate about. I believe everyone should adopt flex and promote flexible working so that parents like me and myself, they have an opportunity to find work that works for them, and they can create a balance between their work and family life. So this is something that I am passionate about.
I can actually feel the passion. I actually feel very emotional. And I'm going to go back to you, Liz, because something profound has just happened there. I've just felt it, okay? And it's something connected to what you and your team does. So you must be very inspired about that. And how does it make you feel?
We're so lucky to have somebody like Chanel working with us, and we always try to look for people who are resilient. And I would say anybody who gets back to work, who has been through the issues that we were talking about earlier, they do have that resilience. And somebody like Chanel talking to employers about why flexible working is important, it's not just, oh, you should do this, it's good for you. It's this will make a difference to how you can get great employees if you're just a bit more flexible, and who better to do it than somebody who works flexibly and is a great employee. So, you know, we're truly blessed to have her, and all our team work part-time because we get such great staff from being able to offer people those part-time opportunities. So it's a real joy to see somebody like Chanel come through and be able to work with those employers and tell her that story. And she might be emotional, but actually she's also very calm and collected and great at when she's doing her job. She's brilliant.
H for all. What does the H stand for?
Well, it's quite open to interpretation, actually. It can mean Hillingdon for all, it can mean health for all, or it can mean help for all, whatever you like.
Okay, I just thought I'd get that one in. So can you just tell us a little bit about H for all, and in terms of supporting the community with their health and well-being? Because after all, it is a health and well-being event as well, isn't it?
It is. So actually H for All is a health and wellbeing charity, and we're very much embedded in the community. I lead on the community side of the work. So in terms of supporting the community, we do it directly with services and indirectly. So directly, we do a lot of work with messaging and engaging with the community around health issues and listening to them and consulting with them. So we have two main strands of projects that do that. We've got a thing called Community Champions, who are volunteers who do a lot of sort of almost like peer mentoring, I suppose, and messaging. Yes. And then we have a program called My Health, which is where we partner with clinicians, and we run workshops and roadshows around particular health issues. So whether that's diabetes or menopause, for example, we've got lots of different themes.
That was on the telly this morning, wasn't it? Talking about menopause.
The menopause work that H for All have been doing has been hugely successful, yes. and the workshops have been so well received that there are now peer-to-peer support groups of residents actually coming together and supporting each other with that
that's
issue.
Wonderful.
Yeah, much needed.
Excellent. So how can a community lead approach impact the health of the local residents? Because that's all part of what we're now talking about, really, isn't it?
Yes. And so, I mean, I think with research has shown that actually sometimes the top-down statutory service, strict kind of approach to messaging doesn't work, and that a kind of more peer approach, word of mouth, works better. And that's the premise of our Community Champions programme, actually. It's like, you know, you might not trust a certain individual or a certain organisation, but actually if it's someone from your own community or someone you know otherwise, you know, you might trust what they're saying and their lived experience. So a good example of that is that we run a lung health engagement programme, and since we had a community-led approach to it, in the first quarter of delivery, people making appointments has increased by a massive 30%, whereas when they just got a doctor's letter, they were ignoring it.
And why do you think the difference? Why do they ignore what's written officially coming from the doctor, but they would rather trust that peer-to-peer? The difference
because it's about actually. You may get something delivered to you, a piece of information, but then, you know, you need to ask questions. You need to think around the subject more. So that's why the Community Champions and the My Health workshops work better, because, you know, that you're thinking about it more laterally, and, you know, you can sort of do some myth busting as well.
And in terms of the kind of questions, now the lung that you just explained to us about, can you just tell us a little bit more about that? I find that quite interesting.
Yes, so basically the NHS have tried to do some early screening for lung cancer, but originally people just weren't responding to the invitations to go for screening. So we've now done a community-led approach, and it's people between 55 and 75 who are smokers or ex-smokers. Now, they may be asymptomatic, so, you know, they probably otherwise would have thought, well, I don't really need to do this. But with encouragement and a better explanation, we find that that's really, you know, the take-up has improved hugely.
Because coincidentally, I was doing some research the other day about Hillingdon, and one of the things I realised that the local authority and the GP offices as well as the NHS, they actually get together to form an organisation to look after their own, so to speak, because especially a lot of the baby boomers, they don't exercise as much as they should do. Their areas of health, which is greater of concern in the Hillingdon area. So it's really interesting to hear what you've just talked about that. So Dalvinda, over to you. In terms of social prescribing, what exactly does that mean?
Our service is completely a social prescribing-led approach. So social prescribing is not a new phenomenon, but it is something that has been really focused on recently by the local NHS, NHS nationally in fact.
Right.
So it's basically anything that can affect a person's health and well-being outside of their medical condition. So anything that could be finances, it could be someone's lost their job, it could be, you know, mum's had a fall and now I have to look after her, so I have to leave work. Anything that is not medical that wraps around that person that could impact their health and well-being. That's typically what social prescribing is perceived as. And now there's been a big push by the NHS to have social prescribers for every borough in the country.
Really? Lovely. So in terms of the benefits, what are the benefits of the whole concept of social prescribing?
It's about putting the person in the middle and wrapping the services around them. I think traditionally the NHS has been set up as a service-led provision, and it's been up to individuals to access those services when they need them. The issue is now that people's needs have changed. We've got a greater population. You look at our local borough now, we've got a large population, elder population.
Aging population,
we've got a large
yes.
amount of health deprivation between the north of the borough and the south of the borough. We've got an airport, so we have an influx of immigration. So all of these things put additional pressure on the NHS. And it's up to services like ours to support the NHS, to wrap services around those patients, to help them access services that normally they couldn't. Maybe they've got literacy issues, maybe their English is a second language, maybe they've got mental health issues themselves. So they find it difficult to navigate the health and social care pathway. So our teams help to do that, as well as provide them with emotional support, access to services, information, advice, benefits, signposting to local groups, support services, anything that can help them with their health and well-being.
Well, that's interesting, because when you look at Hillingdon over the years, the changes in diversity has been huge, hasn't it? I think it's near 50-50 now in terms of how it's been allocated in terms of the demographics. So how have you managed to work with all the different nuances, with the cultural diversity, cultural differences, the barrier of not speaking the language?
We have a patient-led approach and we have a neighbourhood approach. So we look at the areas where people are based and deliver the service based on the needs of that local area. So for example, a lot of our ethnicity is within the south of the borough. So in those boroughs, we employ workers that do speak local ethnic languages, that are familiar with the community. And most of our staff, about 80% of our staff, are Hillingdon residents, born and bred. So they know the borough. They know how, what makes it tick. They've seen the changes. They've been working in the field in different charities or social care or health for a number of years. So almost organically, you have an attachment to what's happening in that borough, and you can cater for it, almost organically in that way.